Well, the thing I really like about James Gunn is he is not having the fake news. And recently he shot down a ton of reports, making it really clear what you're hearing might not be true. So we're going to take a couple minutes to talk about what he said, which projects he put in perspective, and when I actually think we're going to get some real updates on these. Well, recently, Superman director and DC Studios co-head James Gunn has found his way back to social media. He's been on worldwide tour promoting Superman, and this has brought him back into doing one of his most favorite things ever, debunking rumors. Now, there's been a lot of talk about The Brave and the Bold, and Batman being a huge priority for DC Studios following Superman's release. We've already got some updates on Wonder Woman, but as far as Batman goes, the filmmaker has started by confirming he and Peter Safran haven't cast whoever's going to be the Cape Crusader. Now, taking this into consideration, this means the upcoming Clayface movie is very unlikely to feature the upcoming version of Batman. All this went down over on Threads, and this particular question was just straight up asked if he'd already cast his current version of Batman, to which he replied, nope. Now, Gunn recognizes how critical Batman is going to be to the future of DC Studios, so I completely understand why he would be taking his time. And, to be fair, there is already a Batman project in the works, and that would be the upcoming Matt Reeves sequel. There have been pretty persistent rumors about this upcoming sequel, and one of the biggest one that keeps on rearing its head is that Hush could be the new villain for the Batman Part 2. Now, this is where Gunn kind of dives into the mode a little bit, because the way he replies here is something I really like about the CEO. Now again, this came out over on Threads, where one user said, quote, "What about Hush in the Batman Part 2? And he replied, again, "Everything you've heard is a total guess or made up," making it super clear whatever we're hearing is not necessarily what's going on with these projects, and the Scooposphere itself is taking advantage of the lack of news. This is something Gunn has pretty continuously done over and over again. And honestly, it's refreshing in a world of false information when you're one of those people who simply want to know the truth. And quite often, that's exactly what we're chasing here. So it sounds like for both Batman projects, as far as The Dark Knight goes, the news is there's no news. There's nobody cast as the DCU Batman, and the villain for the upcoming The Batman sequel has yet to be revealed. Now that sequel is set to go into production in a couple of months, so that's when I think some of these details might come out, because when they start casting various actors, that's quite often when the names of these roles start to leak. It's always possible they could use code names, but as far as it goes right now, I'm not taking any guesses until we get into the casting phase, because Matt Reeves tends to be full of surprises. Now, the last place he shot down a pretty interesting rumor was surrounding the Teen Titans movie. If you remember correctly, Supergirl writer Anna Nagura was tapped to write Teen Titans for DC Studios, and that news hit the air several months ago, and there was a lot of assuming that she had completed that project. Now, it has come out since then that yes, James Gunn and Peter Safran shifted the priority over to Wonder Woman, and that assumption the other script was done, well, that turned out to be false. Gunn has stated that she'd never turned in a completed script, but that project was well underway. Now, when questions about this project came up, well, one of the things front and center was who is going to lead these new Teen Titans. Now, if you remember correctly, when he announced The Brave and the Bold, it was established this Batman had been around for quite a while, and we were getting a full Bat family. This was set to include a couple versions of Robin, with the most current version of Robin being Damian Wayne. This means Dick Grayson and Tim Drake exist in this universe, or at least possibly exist. And some online scoopers had kind of read into this a little bit, leading to the possibility that DC Studios was flip-flopping between who was going to lead the Titans, Tim Drake or Damian Wayne. And once again, James Gunn dropped the hammer on that. Now, just like the Batman rumor that we had heard previously, he said, quote, "Anything you've heard about that movie is made up or a guess. No one in the world knows anything about the concept for the story except 4 people. Now, I'm not sure who the 4th person is, but that means James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Anna Nagura, plus 1 more, are the only people that really know. And Gunn has played a lot of these details so close to the chest, I'm fully not expecting anything to leak out until, honestly, Gunn wants it to leak out. I think James Gunn is handling this kind of press perfectly. It's not like he's giving us no updates. He recently told us a screenwriter is hammering away at the Brave and the Bold script, but he's not setting expectations or feeding into the scooposphere, giving attention to false news. One thing that I think has hurt other superhero projects, especially in the case of Marvel Studios, is fan expectations being set to drive discussion and engagement online. This ultimately leads to a lot of false stories and rumors and fake hype. And when the hype is fake, you can't live up to it because it's not real. And Gunn seems to distinctly understand that and is seeking to control that narrative. Now, when we get some full updates on any of these projects, well, that is the big question. Quite honestly, I'm not expecting any updates on the Titans until we find out Anna Nagura has turned in that Wonder Woman script. I don't think we're going to hear anything about the Brave and the Bold until early next year, and I believe sometime this fall we're going to get some big updates on Robert Pattinson's Batman sequel, which will include who the primary villain will be. But until we get those details, we're going to have to wait and see. Before we take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC news, and we want to bring you all the news truthfully and transparently so you're really in the know.